Imperial Uncle. Extra Chapters, 1. I hang in midair, watching the tragic scene unfold below me, my heart brimming over with expectation, filled with excitement. I've waited in the celestial prison for many years. At last, this day has come. The opportunity for possession is finally before my eyes. I'm a ghost. A ghost who clings to past grievances. As for how long it's been, I've never felt like counting the years, so I don't even know how many years it's been anymore. A long time ago, I was just like the man on the floor right now. I was locked into this prison cell. The reason was most unjust, and at that moment I could not accept it, and I hanged myself with my belt on a crossbeam. Then I died. I turned into a hanged ghost. Only once I became a ghost did I find out that the legends are true. The underworld won't take those who died by suicide. Especially hanged ghosts. There is nothing I can do but wait here for the next hanged ghost to appear before I can reincarnate. But once I'd turned into a ghost, this room's beams have been sealed away with wooden boards and nails, and there are no nails on the walls. Even if someone feels like hanging themselves, they'll have no place to hang a rope on. Ghosts come and go in all the other cells, only I remain, year after year. I feel rather resentful. My life was difficult, and now that I'm a ghost, after death is still difficult. If the heavens above intend for me to stay in this cell forever and ever, then I'll defy the heavens. If I can't reincarnate because no one will become a hanging ghost and stay in this room in my place, then I'll simply possess any dead body. As I have died by suicide, I can only possess another body who died by suicide. Not just anyone is locked into this cell, so during all my painstaking waiting, the few who've come had no intention to kill themselves. They all stubbornly waited until they were either killed or released. Finally, after countless years went by, he's been locked in here. I can tell that he was never going to be killed at all. On the contrary, he may have been released quite soon. But to have a wide enough bosom to accept all the things he's experienced is no easy feat. It's downright destiny that's delivered him here for me to possess. I smilingly look on as he swallows down the pill, then I wait patiently. Right now on the ground he's going on and on, leaving his dying wishes. That man named Lu Tongyi turns deathly pale, his eyes filled with despair. Everyone is like that. He can't see his own heart, and he can't read what's written in someone else's heart, either. It is quite obvious by his expression that this Lu Tongyi loves him. Too bad he's oblivious to all of it. He's just blindly whimpering away on his own. Watching the look on Lu Tongyi's face, I suddenly feel a bit envious. If I had someone to look at me like this back then, even dying would have been worth it. No, wait, what I mean is, even if you beat me to death I wouldn't have thought of killing myself. I slowly descend. He breathes a few last feather-light words. Rancy, and his grip on Lu Tongyi's jade-colored sleeve gradually relaxes. As I'm just about to take aim and make my landing, he suddenly takes another breath, tightening his grip on Lu Tongyi's sleeve again, and says something that sounds rather shocking to the living, but isn't meant to shock the dead. With what I am, it won't be easy to bury me. It'll only make things difficult. For a cremation is better. Just take the ashes and scatter them somewhere, a mountain, a river, and everything will be clean. Hey, are you for real? You'd go so far as to leave last words to have your body burned? You're going to die, but you don't want to let someone else get something out of it. How stingy of you. How naive. Once you're dead, are you still the master of your body? Soon, both his hands go weak, and his head lolls to the side onto Lu Tongyi's shoulder. I gradually descend. And the body transfers to a new master without a hitch. It's silent all around me. The body I'm leaning against is quite stiff, as though he's turned into a corpse too. I hold onto a square of smooth fabric, and half open my eyes. Rancy. Lu Tongyi shudders suddenly. I lean in close to the side of his face, lowering my voice to the softest register. Rancy, that was an act. I'm playing dead. Please help me this once, I'm going to escape. Lu Tongyi freezes once more. Urgent footsteps approach, and then we're surrounded by the clamorous noise of confusion. I close my eyes again and put my head back on Lu Tongyi's shoulder. I can feel Lu Tongyi ever so slowly let go of me, rising to his feet. Soon, without a hint of emotion, his even and level voice says, His Highness Prince Huai has taken his own life with poison. And now I suddenly notice something. There's no scent of another ghost in this cell. Where did Jing Weiyi's soul go? In some corner of the body, something vaguely stirs before sinking into stillness again. It's like a thunderclap hitting me right on the top of the head. It's Jing Weiyi's soul. He's not dead. He's actually not dead. He was only playing dead to begin with. I've somehow managed to possess a living body. Is this fate? A hand presses down on the neck that presently belongs to both myself and Jing Weiyi. It opens the eyelid we currently share, checks our joint pulse, touches our chest. Your Majesty, Prince Huai is dead. The voice that comes after is resoundingly loud, tinged with anger. Check it for us again. There's no way Prince Huai would commit suicide. He has to be playing dead. Though this generation's emperor is young, he's a wise ruler. Spot on. Another bout of searching touches later, I hear the gudong sound of someone kowtowing. Your Majesty, His Highness, he really is dead. Dead. The emperor's voice sneers. Even if we die, he still won't die. Footsteps approach me, and come to a stop. Imperial uncle, I know you're playing dead. Get up. We declare you innocent. He's dead asleep, and won't wake for a day or two at least. I on the other hand can get up, but all I want to know is how I can come out of this body. End chapter. Imperial uncle. Extra chapters, 2. When all is quiet around me, I hear Lu Tongyi begin to speak. Your Majesty, the Imperial physician has finished inspecting him. His Highness really has died by suicide. The Emperor's voice remains steeped in sarcasm. How can you be so sure, Chancellor Lu? Imperial uncle has always been a cunning man. We refuse to believe he'd be satisfied with dying just like that. On the other hand, feigning death to break out of prison seems quite like something he'd be capable of. I can't help but think about how Jing Weiyi managed to mess things up so badly while he was alive that no one would even believe he's committed suicide now that he's dead. While it's true that he really is playing dead, even I feel my heart cool on his behalf when I hear what the Emperor says. But Lu Tongyi's tone is still calm. Your Majesty, before Prince Huai died he left this subject his last words. He knew that his crime was very serious and did not wish to be buried. He asked this subject to beg your Majesty to cremate him. He said to just scatter his ashes anywhere, whether it's into a rice field or some corner, on the mountains or in the river, it doesn't matter. All goes quiet in the prison cell once more. After quite a while, the Emperor says, what do you think of what he said, Chancellor Lu? This subject believed that His Highness knew your Majesty would suspect the authenticity of his suicide, thus he said those things to put your mind at ease. According to what you said just now, Chancellor Lu, Imperial uncle really does understand me and shows consideration for me. His Highness was your Majesty's uncle, after all. Next to me, the Emperor paces. Chancellor Lu, your manner of speech feels different than usual. A hint of fatigue is woven through Lu Tongyi's voice. Please forgive this servant, your Majesty. This servant really don't know what to do anymore and would like to excuse myself. Please allow this servant to do so. The jail cell quiets once more. Then the Emperor gives Lu Tongyi permission to withdraw. When Lu Tongyi's footsteps reach the cell door, the Emperor suddenly speaks again, Chancellor Lu, do you also think as we do, that Imperial uncle's death isn't real? Lu Tongyi does not reply. The Emperor continues, ah, right. You have just related Imperial Uncle's last words to us in a way that was meant to be reproachful. You believe that Imperial Uncle is already dead. Lu Tongyi says calmly, this servant would never dare. When it comes to Jing Weiyi, we have fulfilled all that is within my duty. Even when he conspired to revolt, we promised to let him live. We even asked Yun Yu to bring him two paths to choose from. What else were we supposed to say to him? This servant merely believed that your majesty was overly hasty in making Chief Yun take the final conclusion to his highness before the evidence had been thoroughly investigated. This servant advised against this at the time, but your majesty did not accept this servant's advice. The emperor's voice abruptly grows louder. We still need to investigate. Everything that Jing Weiyi has done over these years, was it us who framed him? Was it Yun Yu who framed him? Or was it Prince Zone who framed him? He already confessed and you were the one he confessed to. This servant believed that even if Prince Huai had already confessed, we still needed to check his confession against the evidence before we could reach a verdict. Chancellor Lu, you really do adhere to the meticulous style of the Court of Judicial Review. Then tell us this: if we really do decide his verdict based on precedents of criminal law, then how are we supposed to sentence Jing Weiyi? Would us choosing to spare his life then be considered bending the law to save a relative? That's why this servant believed that Prince Huai choosing to commit suicide may be the best path he could have chosen for all concerned. Your Majesty, please think about this with an open mind. Please excuse this servant. Lu Tongyi's measured footsteps fade away. It is once again very quiet in the cell. I haven't misjudged him, after all. Lu Tongyi is really something else. Now that such a thing has been said to him, the emperor will no longer have any more doubts regarding Jing Weiyi's death, and it will make it even easier for me to get away. A long time passes before some fearless official asks the emperor what they're supposed to do with Prince Huai's body. The emperor asks them to bring the body to that place for now. I feel a mat slipped under me, and a cloth thrown over me. I'm lifted by the head and feet onto a bier. Many years ago, I once floated in midair and watched as others carried my body out just like this. I had better treatment than Jing Weiyi has now. At the very least the mat beneath me was a soft mattress. It may have been because it was late autumn then, and it's summer now. It's a different solar term. But back then I was only able to stare helplessly as my body was carried out, my soul unable to move past the cell door. This time, in Jing Weiyi's body, I'm carried outside easily, finally leaving this cage behind. The place the emperor referred to as that place is quite a distance away from the celestial prison. In Jing Weiyi's body I go outside, board a carriage, and the carriage travels for a long time. After that I'm taken off the carriage and cross many thresholds. It's a long time before I'm safely set on the ground again. A eunuch's voice says, Prince Huai has taken his own life in the celestial prison in order to avoid his punishment. His Majesty's grace has allowed Prince Huai's body to stop at his own estate, and after he's cleansed and changed tomorrow, he will be cremated at the Pufang temple. Ah, so he's been transported back to Jing Weiyi's prince estate. Jing Weiyi has failed in his rebellion attempt and took his life to avoid his punishment. Most everyone in his estate has already left. The scant few remaining dare not openly weep on his behalf either, only sneaking in a surreptitious sob or two next to the body every once in a while. Just one man here seems gutsier than the others. He kowtows loudly several times and even sprinkles a cup of wine onto the floor as he cries. Your Highness, it's Hansi. I don't know what sort of crime you've committed, I only know that you were a good master. I'll never forget how good you were to me. I'll burn incense to your memorial tablet every day for the rest of my life and never forget the kindness your parents and your Highness showed me. In this heartless mortal world, it's truly rare to have such a loyal servant. As soon as he finishes crying, the guards drive him away. The emperor is still suspicious about Jing Weiyi's death. He's sent a few bodyguards and an eunuch to watch over the body. The guards have brought a brazier. They light incense and burn paper money, muttering all the while. Your Highness, you were a man of ambition, it's unfortunate that success wasn't in your stars. As for us, we're all just some nobodies. Put your mind at rest and go on your way, don't cling to the world anymore. I like the smell of incense and candles, and feel my vitality restored after smelling it. Too bad I can't move as I like. Since possessing a body, I can't help but feel a bit bored. I use a little bit of magic and pull up a gust of chilled wind. That eunuch and guard are so scared by this that they throw themselves onto the floor, kowtowing ceaselessly. It's too bad that I can't open my eyes to watch them, but merely listening to them is interesting enough to serve to ease my boredom as I lie here playing corpse. As the eunuch and the bodyguards are shaking themselves silly, their teeth chattering as they kowtow, I hear footsteps drawing near from afar, and then I hear Lu Tongyi's bright and clear voice. What are you all panicking about? The voices of the eunuch and the bodyguards are trembling as they answer him, Chancellor. Chancellor Lu, you've come at just the right time. Prince Huai he's not at peace. There was suddenly a chilly gust of wind, all the paper money's gone flying. This hall's door faces south. It's not a rare thing for wind to blow inside during the summer. The chattering of their teeth hasn't stopped yet. This official suddenly have some suspicions regarding some details of Prince Huai's death, and thus I've come to examine him. You may remain and observe while this official do so. They immediately reply, if Chancellor Lu believes it suspicious, then it is well within reason for you to examine him. His Highness is a prince, after all, and people of lowly status such as ourselves shouldn't be present while the examination is conducted. We'd better go outside and keep watch. And they all run away. I hear the door closing, and only Lu Tongyi's footsteps are approaching. He is now the only person left in the hall. I open my eyes and sit up. At first, it seems Lu Tongyi is quite surprised, but he recovers right away. He has already changed into his official's robes, a serious ink blue affair, very functionary-like, not at all friendly looking like his casual everyday clothes. I pull at his sleeve and say quietly and lovingly, Rancy, thank you. Lu Tongyi keeps his voice low and tells me, all business, no need. I only wanted to find out what your Highness intended to do, and I want to hear the whole story. There is far more behind what Prince Zong said before he fell into a coma, and there is also the manner in which your Highness confessed to the crimes. I neither wish to settle things as they are nor do I wish to wrongfully accuse you. I find it all quite ridiculous. Is he telling Jing Weiyi that, or is he telling himself that? He can't prove that Jing Weiyi was wrongfully accused, but he's helping him lie to the emperor and fake his death. How can that ever be considered the rightful action of a proper subject? He's obviously not all that honorable, but he has to make himself look so honorable. Why go to all that trouble? Those tragic last words Jing Weiyi left Lu Tongyi in his last moments must have upset him rather a lot to make him agree to help so readily. At this very moment I mustn't allow him to calm down. If this goody-goody part of his personality ever gets the best of him before I can manage to take over Jing Weiyi's body, we'll both end up dead on the execution ground. That would be terribly stupid. I stare at him lovingly, grip his sleeve lovingly, and say to him lovingly in a soft voice, Rancy, I'm leaving my life in your hands. You may decide whether I live or die. I will not regret it. In the tranquility of the hall, he and I gaze at each other. Before Lu Tongyi can speak again, I aim for his lips and kiss him fast. For a heartbeat his entire body goes still, but he doesn't resist. Actually, he's rather compliant. A long time passes before I let him go. His eyes are quite clear, but I can't see through to him. He says softly, Your Highness doesn't have a heartbeat. The Imperial physician checked, you have no pulse, you can sleep and wake as you wish, and there's no flaw to your act. Why is that? I tell him gently, I'll tell you once we're outside. Do you plan to escape from the estate, Your Highness? How is that even possible? The Emperor has obviously left Jing Weiyi's body to rest in the prince's estate as a test. That's why I mustn't try anything inside the estate. My act must be solid. I tell him, Pufang Temple. Lu Tongyi doesn't add anything more. Now is not a good time to talk. I'm about to lie back down again to play corpse when Lu Tongyi calmly says to me, Chief Yun will be coming by to see your highness shortly. Chief Yun? Who's that? I give this some thought before remembering that it's the man who came with two paths for Jing Weiyi to choose. His name is Yun Yu, and in the end Jing Weiyi even called him Suiya. This man is probably special to Jing Weiyi. I merely have to recite his name in my heart a little, and Jing Weiyi's soul, deeply sleeping in some corner, begins to stir. I close my eyes and lie down. Lu Tongyi. Yun Yu. How fascinating. End chapter. Imperial Uncle. Extra chapters, 3. After Lu Tongyi's departure, I'm left without anything to do and fall asleep. While I'm half conscious, I hear someone being addressed as Chief Yun. I listen carefully and find footsteps approaching me from a distance, not too fast and not too slow. They sound like footfalls from cloth slippers and not an official's boots. The footsteps slow as they approach, finally stopping at my side. There's a slight pause before the cloth draped over Jing Weiyi's face is suddenly pulled away. And then, there's nothing at all, that man merely stands there without any sign of movement. I can't even hear him breathe. For a moment I'm almost convinced that this Chief Yun is a ghost just like myself. At the very least there was something between the two of them when Jing Weiyi was alive, so now that his body is lying right here, then whether he's sincere or putting it on, he should at least sigh a couple of times and say a thing or two. No. Unfortunately, Chief Yun is as immovable as a mountain, failing to live up to my persistent waiting. An interminable amount of time passes before another set of footsteps cross the threshold. And then I hear a voice say, "You." Chief Yun finally stirs. "Greetings, Your Majesty." The Emperor comes closer. "You, we heard you were feeling unwell. There was no need for you to come." Chief Yun doesn't reply. "You don't need to look again. It really is him." Both the medical examiner and Lu Tongyi checked personally. Chief Yun remains quiet and still. The Emperor continues, "When he was dying, he went out of his way to call for Lu Tongyi so that he'd be near, and went out of his way to bid Lu Tongyi pass a message to us, telling us to cremate him and scatter his ashes just anywhere. If he's already made it to the court of the underworld, he must surely hate us very much. We wonder if he'd hate you." Chief Yun finally speaks. His tone is exceedingly calm. "Yesterday he said to this subject, 'Come speak to me again when you're free.' This subject was merely placating him at the time when this subject said yes, but never imagined that he was also trying to placate this subject." He covers Jing Weiyi with the shroud once more, and says under his breath, "I never thought the one you left for yourself was the real thing." Then he turns around, "Your Majesty, when is the cleansing ceremony?" "In an hour." "Then this subject will leave after the cleansing ceremony." The cleansing process is a complete shambles. What they call the cleansing is to have a few eunuchs lift the body by the head and feet and soak it in a huge tub of water. In the meantime, a bunch of deists, Buddhist monks and nuns all recite their scriptures together, shake their bells, strike their chime stones, chant their chants to erase sin and karmic hindrance with a constant droning hum that goes on and on. I wonder if deists and Buddhists mixed together cancel each other out, but at any rate it doesn't have any effect on me. When they're nearly finished with their sutras, they fish the body out of the tub again, take off the wet clothes and wipe it clean, and all the past crimes and sins are now considered null and void. The scriptures they recite go from ones for erasing sins to the rebirth mantra. But there isn't a pretense of crying. After that, usually the body should be dressed. Right after a covering up bit of underwear has been put on, the Emperor's voice suddenly speaks up, "We will help Prince Huai get dressed." All goes quiet in the hall, even the bell shaking and sutra reciting comes to a full stop. Prince Huai has no heir, so such things as dressing him should be left to his nephews. He is our imperial uncle, after all. He may have failed to take our throne, but if we dress him now that he's dead, it should serve as some consolation for him. Before he even finishes talking, his voice is drowned out by the sound of knees and foreheads hitting the floor as everyone starts kowtowing. They're all trying to talk him out of it, saying that he must not. In the end, Prince Huai is a criminal, and he can't endure such brilliant benevolence. Your Majesty is kind and generous like no one in history has ever been, but if you go and do a thing like that, Prince Huai will probably end up stuck in the underworld and never be allowed to reincarnate. Listening to this, I silently snicker. The Emperor's just putting on an act, that's all. These subjects of his probably know that perfectly well, but they still must put on a show of reverently convincing him in earnest. These hypocrites are all play-acting at each other, what a pain. When it comes down to it, what they call statecraft and the way of the subject is nothing more than seeing who's better at acting. The high-ranking officials are trying to convince him otherwise, but the Emperor's rather insistent, going so far as to grab Jing Weiyi's arm and nearly managing to pull a sleeve over it before someone throws himself forward to stop him. At this point, Lu Tongyi interrupts with perfect timing. Ultimately, Prince Huai is a criminal, and your Majesty is a ruler while Prince Huai was a subject. It is indeed improper for your Majesty to dress him. The other princes can do that on your behalf. As soon as he finishes speaking, a few voices volunteer immediately. They all sound rather young. Seems like Jing Weiyi actually has quite a few nephews. One of them comes right to the front and kneels down. Your Majesty, please allow me to dress Imperial Uncle on your behalf. There is a half-sob caught in his voice, making it sound quite sincere. The Emperor finally acquiesces, fine. Prince Dai, please go ahead. Prince Dai puts the inner gown and outer robe on Jing Weiyi. His breathing grows heavy, he seems to be sobbing. A eunuch tries to console him, Prince Dai, please don't be so sad. Though Prince Huai had committed crimes beyond redemption, sutras were read for his sins and his soul has been guided to the underworld. Once all of his past sins are erased, he can reincarnate again. Prince Dai chokes out words between the crying, Uncle, you take good care of yourself. I'll be going to Henan in a few days. I can't come see you often. I'll burn more paper money for you, spend your time well, down there. If you need anything, come see me in my dreams. Several drops of tears fall onto Jing Weiyi's face. At long last someone is crying over this death of his, so even if he becomes a ghost he's not so hard done by. Unlike me, after all these years, I hadn't even received a single sheet of paper money. Once Prince Dai finishes putting on the outer robe, before he steps away, he stuffs a slice of something into Jing Weiyi's mouth. I can feel that it's a thin slice of jade. A cold energy of the yin kind spreads out, and all at once my dark powers grow ever more exuberant. By the time they put socks and shoes on and the hair is tied up and dressed in a prince's crown, and they lift the body onto the platform, the cloth lying beneath me has been changed out for silk. There's even a pillow beneath my head. It's probably made of jade. Sutras are being recited in the hall once more. A woman's voice says, Your Highness, this humble one pray your sins will be erased, and if you should return to the will of reincarnation again, you'll become a good person. In this humble one's brief unfortunate attachment in this lifetime with you, we neither one of us owe the other anything. From today on this humble one will keep a lamp burning for you before the Buddha, and chant the sutras for you every day. This humble one hope you leave some sorrow behind soon and head towards nirvana. I had originally thought that Jing Weiyi was a cut sleeve. I never imagined that he had a fling with a nun too. Truly it seems I've really underestimated him. Once that woman finishes her prayers, all I hear is a bunch of nuns chanting sutras. Amidst the din I hear Lu Tongyi say, Your Majesty, this subject is not feeling very well. Please allow this subject to leave. The Emperor replies it is allowed. Lu Tongyi thanks him and excuses himself. Before he goes he says, "Chief Yun, would you like to leave with me?" Yun Yu's voice says extremely calmly, "I'll leave once I finish watching the ceremony." "Thank you, Chancellor Lu." The cleansing ceremony goes on noisily for ages, it feels like forever before it's finally over. Even just from listening I'm feeling exhausted. As I'm nodding off, a shroud is thrown over me again. They lift me into a carriage and transport me to a monastery called Pufang Temple. The monastery is really quiet. Inside Jing Weiyi's body, I'm carried into a great hall. I'm not sure how much time passes after that, but as I take in the cold yin energy from the jade in my mouth, the guards that have been muttering around me suddenly stop whispering. The door closes, then there is a clack as the door is barred, then someone quietly tiptoes to my side, squeezes Jing Weiyi's nose and says quietly next to my ear, "Your Highness, Your Highness." I don't move. My wrist is lifted, then checked. Another voice is trying to stay very quiet and says, "How odd, why isn't there a pulse?" The voice who was calling Your Highness earlier says, "By rights His Highness should be waking up right around now." Could it be that we messed up the prescription? I try to perceive Jing Weiyi's presence inside the body and discover that he is still in deep sleep. It's likely because I've taken in the jade tablet's energy, and I've suppressed him so he can't move. Right at that moment, something is inserted into my nostril and it blows in a burst of smoke. Caught unawares, I can't help but sneeze. A voice immediately cries out, "Oh thank heavens, he's awake." Now that things have come to this, I have no choice but to open my eyes. It's already nighttime, and the inside of the hall is pitch black. All I can make out is that there are two masked silhouettes next to me. "Your Highness, apologies for the lateness." "Good thing you're all right." Jing Weiyi's backup plan is as well thought out as I suspected. These two men are servants from his estate and he's already arranged for them to come rescue him. They murmur quietly about how I'm supposed to escape. In the morning someone will come to examine the body again, and then it'll be shipped to cremation. The body double has already been prepared, and that's when the switch will be made. The one named Zhang Xiao says, "But that place in the southwest has already been investigated by His Majesty's people. Where will you go once you leave?" I feign profound knowledge and mutter, "Of course I'll have a place to go. We'll speak on this tomorrow." Those two dare not tarry too long, and soon, they're gone. Before they go they leave behind a pill for Jing Weiyi to keep playing dead with. I take the pill. Jing Weiyi's soul falls into an even deeper sleep. I lie down properly on the platform and wait for a place to hide to deliver itself to me. And as I expected, Lu Tongyi shows up again. From what my ears can discern he's brought with him a bunch of bodyguards. Before he does anything, he first asks the guards and eunuchs keeping watch if they've seen anything strange. The guard on watch replies, "Nothing strange has happened, but for some reason we fell asleep for a bit." Immediately, someone says in a stern voice, "The nerve of you people. His Majesty tasked you to watch the body closely, and nothing must go wrong. Do you know what a crime it is to slack off and defy an imperial order?" The guards and the eunuchs on night watch kowtow and beg for forgiveness. That's when I hear Lu Tongyi's voice say, "Lord He, since that's the case, we'd better check the body again." Lord He replies that is quite true, and takes big strides toward me, ripping the shroud away. I use a bit of magic then to bring up a chilly gale. The windows and doors bang against their frames, the curtains whistle in the breeze. The hall is suddenly quiet. Even that Lord He goes quite still. And eunuch's teeth are chattering. It's come again, His Highness's grievances can't find peace, he's come to haunt us again." Lord He's foot steps back away from me, but his voice sounds as tough as ever. What complete nonsense. What can a traitorous criminal who died from suicide ever haunt us for? He curses, "Bah, at least he knew himself well enough to know he needed to be cremated. The sooner he's burned up the better." Lu Tongyi says gently, "Lord He, perhaps His Highness feels that it's inappropriate for his body to be checked in front of so many people. But not checking may lead to mishap, so why not let the others leave the room so that Lord He and I can check the body together. So I increase the powers I've been using by a few factors more, and the wind grows even fiercer. Lord He's footsteps get even quieter as he backs away. I shall go outside with the others to patrol the temple and see if there's anything suspicious. I will leave the matter of checking the body to you, Chancellor Lu. Leading a series of panicked, fearful footsteps, he leaves in an awful hurry. The hall is plunged into silence. The doors are gently closed, then barred. I only sit up once I can tell he's walked back to me, and spitting out the jade tablet, I pull him to me by the sleeve. Disregarding any consequences there may be, I cover his mouth with mine once more. More kisses will deepen his feelings and raise the possibility of success. He stands there, letting me kiss him. It's a little while before I let him go, leaning in near his ear to whisper, "Rancy, I love you." Lu Tongyi goes rigid and backs off a bit from me. By now, the sky is starting to turn pale. His expression as he looks at me is quite odd. I pick up one of his hands and hold it tight. I tell him softly, "I'm telling you the truth. I'm going to leave soon, and I'm scared that once I leave, I won't have a chance to tell you those words." He looks at me with a furrow between his brows and asks quietly, "When will you be leaving?" "Someone will come see me before the cremation and after the body is checked. I have a corpse that I can switch with, you don't have to worry." I sigh. But His Majesty has already found the place I was planning to go to. I don't know where I can hide yet. I put my other hand on top of his. "That's why I'm not sure if this plan will succeed. Maybe I won't be able to see you again. Rancy, thank you for helping me. I will not ever forget you, this life nor the next. It's unfortunate that you and I are not meant to be. I know you won't love me. But I'm content knowing that you'd let me love you." Lu Tongyi stares into my eyes, and then averting his gaze he breathes out a light sigh. "Is that so?" I feel my confidence ebbing for a moment. Judging from his eyes, I believe he's figured out what I'm trying to accomplish. I grab his hand tightly again and tell him with passion, "I love you. I don't care whether or not you believe me. The only person in my heart is you, Rancy. I'm not really lying. To begin with, I had nothing to do with any of these people, and the only one I keep thinking about right now is Lu Tongyi. Whether this plan succeeds or fails depends on him." Lu Tongyi withdraws his hand without saying anything. As I lie back down to play dead body, he puts the shroud back over me and whispers, "Take care of yourself." He checks to make sure the edge of the cloth is even, and tucks it under. There is an empty residence in Suzhou, Celery Lane. It is the only house in that lane. Aside from myself, no one knows about it. 2 hours later, I board a carriage in the middle of nowhere, and the capital gradually fades away behind me. Zhang Xiao asks, "Your Highness, are we going to the place your mother arranged for you in Zhenyang Prefecture before she passed away?" "Not yet. Let's go to Suzhou first, to Celery Lane. There's an empty residence where I can stay for a while." I close my eyes. Jingwei Yi's soul is inside the body, stirring. He's about to wake. I'm going to take a nap. This empty residence is tied to another person's life, so we'll simply stay there, but please don't speak of it again. Being considerate, both Zhang and So agree to this request. Steward So says, "Then once we're about to cross the river I will go on my way as to avoid drawing undue attention. Lazang here will take your highness to Suzhou. His master happens to be in the Jiangnan area, and he can help you fix your leg." Jingwei Yi's crippled leg is actually fixable? What a pleasant surprise. I pretend that I want to take a nap, planning to let Jingwei Yi out for a bit so he won't get suspicious. I cannot be too impatient if I want to take over this body. The best strategy is to quietly exhaust Jingwei Yi's soul until it's worn out and disappears. When I close my eyes and lie down, I'm not sure why, but I end up thinking about Lu Tongyi again. I can still taste him on my lips. I wonder if I'll ever be able to see him again. I actually find him rather lovely. If I were Jing Weiyi, I'd certainly love him and him only, and make the words I've told him sincere. If I were Jing Weiyi, this if may just come true, soon enough. End chapter.